It is done already. That means I can move on. In other words, I'm trying to execute this statement the way it is right now. H16 is the statement I'm trying to execute. I cannot perform the addition yet because the invocation is not done yet on the right-hand side. And obviously I cannot do the return because I don't even know what value I'm supposed to return. So that means when I get back to line 11, I am going to invoke S4 again this time, except I use n minus 2 to specify the parameter n. Is that okay? So in this case, we have to figure out what n are we talking about. The n minus 2, the n of the n minus 2 cannot be referring to column I because at this time column I is already deallocated. So that means the only n I have left is column F, which has a value of 2. Since I'm trying to execute n minus 2 or specify n minus 2 as my argument, it becomes 2 minus 2, which is 0. And that's why in the new column n, I have a value of 0. Are there any questions? Yep.
In H16, if we replaced the second parentheses with a question mark, would you adopt this practice?
It's too early to replace that. Are you talking about, in this particular cell you replace the right invocation with a question mark?
Yeah. And then I allocate it, and then I just continue exactly as you want it.
Okay, so you're basically moving ahead of time. Let me finish the parameter, and then you can see. Okay. It should be now that you replace the question mark, right? Okay. Parameter x, it's always just an alias of column D, so that's not too exciting. The return info is telling me where to go back to and how do I continue the execution. This is what I'm executing right now, and this is the invocation. This is the reason why I'm allocating all these columns again. So that means the invocation on the right-hand side this time is the one to be replaced by a question mark. So did you put a cell over here, or did you just not specify anything here?
No, I put a cell. I put the same cell.
Oh, okay, so you basically put the same cell twice. Once you put this cell over here as well.
The main reason was it was just taking too much space, so I just replaced it with a question mark ahead of time.
Okay. Did you do it consistently? Because there are several places where... Okay, I guess I'll take a look when I get it. Yeah. Okay, so are we doing okay with line 11, how we set up columns H, I, and J again? Okay, we are reusing, okay, it is important to remember we are actually reusing columns H, I, and J because they were deallocated on row 17 of the trace. That's the deallocation. But on row 18, when we continue to execute the rest of line 11, we reallocated the same 3 columns. Okay? Is that all right? So once that we have allocated and set up columns H, I, and J, it is time to go back to the subroutine, starting on line 4 again. n equals to 0 is true. Okay? Because n does equal to 0 this time. We move on to line 5. Line 5 does not do anything to x except to return its value. X has a value of 2 at this point, so we are just returning a value of 2. Okay. That means we have to copy and paste column H, change the question mark here also to 2, and that's it. Okay, we don't do anything else. We do not simplify the 2 plus 2 to be a 4 because this is not the time to do it yet. Then we move on to the end of the subroutine because line 5 is the only thing I want to do for that particular branch of the conditional statement. When I'm done with it, I have to get out of the conditional statement, ending up on line 13. Line 13 is going to deallocate all 3 columns, and then we have to continue execution on line 11 because that's what the return info cell is telling me. This time, when I get back to line 11, both the left-hand side and the right-hand side are both resolved. It is 2 plus 2, which is 4. So now I know exactly what value I'm supposed to return, which is a value of 4. That means I'm ready to execute the return itself this time. Okay? When I execute the return itself, I have to once again find the rightmost return info cell. This time it is column E. So we have to copy and paste it down here, and then change the question mark itself to the value that we are returning. What is it? 4. But we do not execute the print statement at this point. We are just resolving what the question mark is supposed to be. After line 11, there's nothing else to do in the else branch. We get out of the conditional statement. We get to line 13, which is the end of the subroutine. And as usual, we deallocate all 3 columns. And then we say, where do we go now? According to the return info cell, we go back to line 17 and try to execute line 17 the way it is specified by E23. E23 specifies it is just printing a value of 4, which I can just do right away. There are no more invocations to perform. After line 17, we have print K on line 18. And that's just going to print the value of K at this point, which is column D. Column D has a value of 2 at this point. And we will be at line 19. Line 19 is the end of this subroutine. These 2 columns that we allocated earlier will have to be deallocated. And then we return based on the return line number in this case, which tells me to go back to post. And since we're back to post, that means we're at the end of the execution of the pseudocode. Okay. Is that okay? I mean, most of you, did you get it mostly right? Okay. If you make a simple mistake somewhere, it's not going to cost you a lot. The most important part that I will be looking for would be the return info cells. Did you copy and paste it correctly? Did you set it up correctly when you invoke a subroutine? That's the important part of this homework assignment. And to a lesser extent, it is going to be the update of column D, because I do want to make sure that people understand passing by reference means that you're changing what the parameter is referring to and not the parameter itself. Are we doing okay with this? Okay. So this is going to be out of the way for now. And we can talk about the practice final exam. Do you remember when we have the final exam? I think it is next Monday. So let me double check, because I looked it up at the beginning of the semester. It is the 13th, which is exactly 1 week from today, and even the time is almost exactly 1 week from today. It's at 5:45 and to 7:45. I will try to do it over at the lab. I think we can do it over at the lab. If I cannot, I will let you guys know that we will do it on paper again. But I think this time we can do it over at the lab. Okay. Any questions? Okay, one thing. Okay, if you have time today after this class, go to the lab and register. Okay, because this class does not have any lab component, which means most of you have not been to room 152, which is just kind of across from, on the other side is across from the water fountain. So go into room 152 and register so that you can use those computers next time. Because you don't want to come here at 5:45 and then have to spend like 5 or 10 minutes to line up and register next Monday. You want to do it now. So the next Monday, if you can come here maybe 5 or 10 minutes before the final exam, it's even better, because you can log in, you can sit down, log into Moodle, open up all the pages that you think will be helpful, plug in your USB thumb drive, open up your own documents, and when 5:45 comes, you're all ready. You can start to answer the test immediately. So I would do some planning, just make sure you can get most of the things out of the way, so you don't have to spend time to do all the clerical stuff next Monday. Yep.
We can have hard copies too, right?
Sorry?
Hard copies.
Hard copies of?
Paper. Notes.
Yeah. It's open book, open notes, open web, except for live communication through the web or any other means. Yep.
if we bring a headset, we're allowed to use YouTube videos.
Yes. Yep, you can use the YouTube videos, and if you have your own laptop computer that you want to use, you can use that as well. But then you'll be at the mercy of the Wi-Fi stability around here. Okay, it's not really bad. That there's only one problem that I can definitely tell you is it will ask you to re-authenticate every so often, like every 3 or 5 minutes, which is very, very annoying. It does not really affect Moodle. In fact, with Moodle, what you can do at the lab is you can log out. Okay, let's say for some reason one machine crashes, okay, while you're taking the test. If you have that file already saved on your own thumb drive, just unplug the thumb drive, go to another computer, log into Moodle again, and Moodle will let you continue to take the test. And as long as you have the file before it crashes, you can continue to work on the file on another computer. You will lose some time in the process, but Moodle will just continue to test. You don't need me to do anything in that case. So let's go ahead and take a look at the final exam practice questions. And I set this up pretty much the same way as I would set up in the actual final test, except there's no time limit. In the final exam, you will also see a timer running on the top here to tell you how much time you have remaining. Now be very careful, because it is, okay, the time that you see up here, the remaining time that you see on the title bar, is based on the clock on the local PC. Okay, and all PCs clocks have some sort of drift, which means over a long period of time, let's say half an hour or 45 minutes, it can drift by a few seconds. If you count on the last 5 seconds to turn in your answer, you may miss that chance. So you might want to give yourself a little bit more time to turn in the answer, unless you're really, really good at it. Okay. Okay. What you will see is not going to be like this. Let me switch back to a student view so that you can see exactly what you will be seeing when you take the test. So now I'm in a student role, and I'm seeing exactly what you guys will be seeing. First of all, when you get to this screen here, it's not going to be empty, because I will have instructions for the test at this point. Okay, so what you want to do is to make sure you read that portion before you take the test. The other thing is, reading this part here does not start the clock. Until you click Attempt Quiz Now, it does not start the clock. In other words, you can do this on the same day at 4 p.m. That will just tell you all the rules, basically the same stuff that you see on the printed one, how many questions there are, what are the traits and conventions and stuff like that. There should be no big surprises, but you can read that part well ahead of time. But when you want to start the clock, you will have to click the button, Attempt Quiz Now. For the practice final exam, you can retry as many times as you want. I will show you guys how to retry it. And then what you will see is something that looks like this. In other words, each question is like a homework assignment that you have been dealing with in this class. You always have a file to download, and the algorithm is always in Sheet 1. Perform the trace in Sheet 2 and turn in the file through the upload interface, which is this upload interface here. On this screen, there are several things to remember. Click this one to save the answer, but you typically don't really have to do that unless you're kind of paranoid about, okay, what if I lose the file? Well, go ahead and click it, okay? If you click this one here, it will just save the answer, but it won't turn in the test. You can continue the test even if you click Save without submitting. Submit all and finish means that I'm done. I want to get out of here. I'm done with the test. If you click that, it will give you a dialog box to ask you, are you sure that you want to terminate the test? Okay, if you click OK on the next screen, then your test is finalized. You cannot come back and change anything at that point. Okay, but it does give you one extra chance to back out